Green market. Ooh, smells a little bit like an old cupboard. Smells like an old cupboard. Anyway. Okay, why don't we play a little game? I give you a few names, and you tell me what these people have in common. Albert Einstein, Thomas Edison, Benjamin Franklin, Theodore Roosevelt, Ernest Hemingway, Charles Darwin, Marco Polo, and Leonardo da Vinci. And well, if you guessed that these people are all straight, white, male, and have a lot of power and or influence, and have all the characteristics to make them public enemy number 1 in 2023, then you'd be right. But in all seriousness, there is another interesting thing that they have in common, and it's the fact that they all kept diaries like a bunch of little girls. Okay, really, being serious now, they all actually did keep journals, and this list extends to a whole lot of other very successful people over the years. These include Marie Curie, Frida Kahlo, Bruce Lee, Virginia Woolf, Sylvia Plath, and Oprah. And probably a whole lot more that Google doesn't know about. It seems like these people don't only have journaling in common either. They're all successful people in their own right, and this made me think, if I start journaling, will I become a straight white male? Okay, I'm sorry. But really, if I start journaling, will I become just as successful as these people on this list? Well, I'm gonna set off on a 1 month long journey to see just how much better it makes me as a person, and if it becomes a sustainable habit to keep around for the rest of my life. Let's find out. Day 1. Admittedly, this isn't my first foray into journaling. I've tried before and failed miserably, only making a few entries here and there and never making it a habit. I can see that it's possible though. There's so many people like you and me who keep journals, so I thought I should go about this in a different way to make sure I don't end up with the same result as I did in the past. On the first day of journaling, I thought it was important to watch some other people journal and see how they do it. It's always been such a struggle for me to stick to doing anything, so removing all the friction from any habit is important just to give me a head start. After watching a couple videos and learning how to go about my own way of journaling, I was ready to forge ahead and make this stick. I saw a lot of different styles, methods, and philosophies on how people journal and what they want to get out of the act of journaling itself. After watching all of these videos and doing my own research, I thought I would try to make the best hybrid that really fits me the most. There's a lot to cover here, so I thought I'd make a separate video about how I like to journal and what I like to write about. So keep posted for that. Day 15. It is actually day 15, I guess you could say. I loved writing in a journal so much, but I absolutely hated my notebook. I hated it. And so I decided to get another notebook. Wow, look, it's cute and pink. I thought I wanted something that was like peach colored for my boy. Look at it. It's so cute. So I'm excited to use this. I'm excited to write in it, process easier, and I think that really helps. So excited to write in this. So 15 days in, I realized a few things about myself. Do you know that feeling when you haven't written anything down in ages and you finally start writing something down and you realize your handwriting is complete garbage? Yup, I can totally relate. I was looking at my pen, looking at my paper, and wondering if everything was fine, as if my own bad handwriting wasn't just my fault. Well now, since I've been writing for 15 days, my handwriting is actually still not that good at all, but when I started, I just felt so completely rusty. Another thing I noticed after writing for 2 weeks is just how important comfort and ergonomics are to keeping a habit. It's not like there's this huge roadblock that's stopping you from doing something, but just that little bit of discomfort every time you have to write something, from the uneven writing surface caused by the string, or the discomfort of the spiral being in the way of your right side of your palm as you near the right side of the page. It's the little things that make me want to stop writing when I run out of ideas, or even dread having to write an entry before bed when I just want to go to sleep. I wanted to make sure I get rid of all my excuses, so I got a notebook I actually like writing in. Has a strong base for writing, nice and thick dotted paper, and most importantly, no spiral thing in the middle. The first time writing on this didn't really feel much different, but I could tell you since I started using it, I didn't for once think that it was an uncomfortable writing experience. I hope this makes the next 2 weeks of writing for this whole month-long experiment just a little bit more bearable. Day 30. At the end of the challenge, I felt a little bit of relief. Not just from the fact that I didn't have to record myself writing every single night anymore, but also because since I no longer really have to write anything ever again. And that gives me a feeling of freedom. There was one thing I thought I needed to do though. I wanted to go through all of the entries from the last 30 days, 60 pages of handwritten work, and just get a look into where my head was at in the last month. Going through all these pages and notes and tiny little scribbles everywhere instantly made me think about just how much of our days we lose to memory. Do you remember what you had for dinner Tuesday last week? Do you remember how you felt about your day right before you went to bed in the beginning of the month? You probably don't remember all of these things in perfect detail, but having these moments and sitting down and transferring them from your brain to page right as they're happening really makes for an interesting read when you're far removed from that moment. There could be so many important little moments in our lives, and we just lose them to the passing of time just like every other memory. And it's natural for us to forget about these things because we don't need all this information about all the little moments in our lives to live our daily lives. But I think we can use journals as a hard drive to keep all the information we can look back on later, and make sure we just never lose it forever. Here's a little thing I found while reading my journal entries for the month. Blank woke me up early and is rushing me to go even when I said I was already going. They're rushing me even when I asked them about the plan last night and they didn't come to a conclusion about what time we should get up. I said I would get up at 11 to be woken up super early and rushed. They didn't even check in with me last night so I could prepare, and as I am getting ready and writing this in my journal, I am feeling very, very annoyed with them. Ooh, angry brick. And here's the entry from later that night. I remember ranting about how I was so annoyed. I really wanted to confront them about it, but it shouldn't be that way. I got over it pretty quickly. I just let it sit with me, and it actually wasn't that deep at all. I found a lot of little things like this that I really appreciate. I know there's so many times in our lives when everything feels so uneventful, but I found this little nugget and was really happy about how I handled the situation. I think the feeling of venting my feelings of annoyance onto my journal helped release a little bit of that tension, and looking back at it now, it's a nice little thing I can really learn about myself in some of life's simplest situations. What did I learn? The month is finally over, and I guess I feel pretty good. It's been about a week since the month-long experiment ended, and I've still been writing every single day. I haven't been filling out pages like I used to though. While the whole experiment was going on, I felt like I had to write as much as possible to make the most out of it. But now, I know that it's just not a sustainable habit to keep that much pressure on how much I write in a day. So honestly, there's still a bit of me wanting to fill in the whole page because it looks nicer, but I know if I really didn't feel like it at all, I wouldn't have to write much. I just had to write anything at all, and it'll be fine. But let's get into the brass tacks of it, shall we? After 30 days of hard, mind-numbing journal writing, racking my brain and trying to express complex emotions through words, trying to recall important events through the day, and even trying to understand myself and finding patterns in my behavior, after all of that, am I Oprah yet?
What?
Unfortunately, I am not. Not even close. But there have been some incredible things I've taken away from this experience. Last month was a real roller coaster. I had to deal with grief and loss for the first time in a while, and because writing has always been a therapeutic and cathartic exercise for me, being able to write down how I was really feeling helped. I think it's one thing to feel a feeling or think about a feeling, but having to translate these abstract emotions into words really does require what feels like 100% of my brain. Sometimes we think that we've understood and processed how we're feeling just from thinking about how we feel and letting it sit. But until the random swirl of thoughts and emotions become actual words on a page, I don't think you can actually say that you've fully understood and processed it. There's so much decoding going on and trying to pick out the right words to explain exactly how you feel, and I personally think it has given me another tool to become a better writer first and foremost, just getting in the hours and making sure I'm writing something every day, and a new method for me to try and understand myself a little bit better. I'm no white male with a lot of power or influence, but I really think there might be something to this whole journaling thing. There is therapy and catharsis in just venting and being able to write down frustrations or any kind of emotional outbursts to get it out of your system. But I think the growth that I see from a lot of people who journal is from reading and revisiting old journal entries to try and see how much you've changed since, and just have more awareness of your behavior patterns and try to steer yourself in the right direction slowly. I was able to read entries from the past month, and it was so impressive to me just how much I was able to see in myself just by reading this journal. There are mornings and nights that I definitely feel like it's such a drag having to write, but I know that I'll thank myself for it later. And that's what keeps me going. A whole week after this experiment, I'm still writing, and I really want to keep it that way. One of the things that really stood out to me while reviewing all my past entries was this little bullet point that read, "I'm craving chicken nuggets." Ah yes, the craving for chicken. Here I am, aspiring to be just as successful as these people I talked about in the intro, and as you can see from my journal, it's all about fried chicken, baby. But really, I couldn't help but crack a smile at the absurdity of it all, and it really made me think about how fun and unserious this whole thing really could be. Not all days have a life-changing event in them, and they really don't have to. I can keep journaling and writing whatever I want and have as much fun with it as possible. And that's it. I wanted to talk about my journaling style and all that, but I thought this video would have ended up a bit too long, so I'm gonna make a whole separate video about it, so stay tuned for that. Subscribe and hit the like button and whatever, all that good stuff. And I guess I'll see you later. Bye!